is the Lyceum Theatre in Crewe, and these are some of my paintings, and drawings and prints. These first few paintings are based on the 1942 movie Casablanca. You can see that one's got some arcade video game style icons sort of integrated into it. And although it's a black and white movie, as you can see, paintings are in a kind of retro palette of colour. There's Ingrid Bergman as Elsa Lund, and Humphrey Bogart as Rick Blaine. The idea with the Life in 2D theme is that we spend a great deal of our time in front of screens of one type or another. TV screens, movie screens, or as in this case, computer screens. It's like we get our world view, our view of life, through a screen, and often it's quite a skewed one. Here's another movie, this time Godfather Part 1, but it's got some real characters edited into it, people that I know quite well, so it's kind of fact meets fiction. And there's a little cat, just for the hell of it. Moving on up, we've got some little biro drawings, actually prints, these made this time from two films, two favourites of mine, To Kill a Mockingbird and Trainspotting. Very powerful films, very disturbing, great films. So they're sort of edited together to form a kind of narrative in a way. Two wooden figures, Renton jumping off the wall. I called it Fall, and originally there were 14 drawings, but there are only 7 here. There's Scout in the tyre. And over here we have an unfinished oil on canvas. I call this one Labyrinth, Where Next? And it's again based on the idea of the internet, searching, but also searching in painting too for the next move. You see there's that nod back there to the dance to the music of time. This theatre really does have a lovely space. I quite like using this horizontal strip format. It's good for giving a sense of movement, in this case to some dancing figures, almost like little animations. And again, the same format, but this time to show a real life setting, Crewe station, with fictitious characters, gunslingers, battling it out across 2 platforms. And over there are some enamel paintings, which we'll have a look at in a moment. The lower of these two is an acrylic portrait. And the one above it is again an unfinished painting, oil on canvas, which I've called, for the time being, 3 suspensions. There are 2 escapologists and a high wire axe. There's some very, very thick paint and some very thin paint. The Twin Towers is in there. It kind of resonates with ideas, certainly in my mind at the moment. It's a little pencil drawing. And here, this is a strange one. It's a little gouache. It's called Conflagration by Numbers,
Baghdad, March 2003. About the airstrikes, again based on an image from the internet. A little trompe-l'oeil effect with the paintbrush and the pots of paint. Here's the image we saw from the other side. It's the last 3 lines of Percy Bysshe Shelley's poem Ozymandias, which are: nothing beside remains, round the decay of that colossal wreck, boundless and bare, the lone and level sands stretch far away. But you can't read it because it's set in a weird font and the symbols are kind of breaking up. Here's that little enamel painting, perhaps the smallest one in the exhibition, called The Big Country. You might recognise the scene. It's appeared in many westerns. That's Monument Valley in the US.
So that's really the end of the first part of this exhibition. Life in 2D, based on the screens, and the start of the second. Sometimes you see an opportunity for a painting in the everyday. In this case, in a garden centre, in Chelsea, of all places. There was a little terracotta head on the wall, or an almost Christ-like figure. I think it was Old Father Thames. But it gave me the idea for this painting, which I called Gethsemane.
The second part of the exhibition is really given over to landscape, prints and watercolours. That bridge there is in my hometown, wintry scene. And then there's the same bridge again, looking a bit more optimistic, in spring. Finally, some coastal prints of Anglesey.